Want to have a chat with Mikis in the dungeon? Apply at contact@keramitica.com.
Welcome, Sebi, to the 15th edition of Dungeon Chats, where you can ask anything you like and get any answer. We can talk about anything you want.
Good to see you, Mikis.
Very nice to see you. And this one is not virtual. You're actually right here.
Yes, I am right here. That's why I was looking forward to coming here. Initially I wanted to make one on Zoom, but I thought, what the fuck, if I come here, it's much cooler like this in person to actually see here the table and the room, which is super cool. And the video doesn't do it justice. It's much cooler in person.
No video can show you what it's like here. It's
much cooler in person.
Our dungeon is the coolest playroom in the world, we believe.
Yeah.
So, far away, I'm the dancing bear. I'm going to answer anything you like instantly, without hesitation, and in the way that a 5-year-old can understand it. And if you think a 5-year-old will not understand it, tell me and I shall rephrase.
Perfect. I have a couple of questions that I've written down, and from what I've seen from the other dungeon chats, we usually talk about the kind of the same themes that we talk about during workshops and so on. I will ask you through some questions to kind of predict the future.
Okay.
You said that you predicted this woke culture before it was obvious, and you were right. And given the fact that you have probably the highest level of mental clarity of anyone I've ever met.
Okay, let's leave the compliments and let's go to the bottom line. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure. Do you think a widespread armed conflict in Europe is a high probability in the next couple of years?
It's a very high probability in the next few months. Yeah.
Okay.
If we go beyond the next few months, then it's not going to happen, because right now in Ukraine the winter is starting. Yeah, and during the winter, the Ukrainians are going to be destroyed. They cannot make it. And the money has run out. And actually right now, all over Europe, people seeing that their standard of living is being destroyed because of a war in a country that they haven't even heard of, like a few years back. And for example, in Germany, yesterday, Volkswagen closed the Dresden plant. It's the first time they have ever closed a factory inside Germany. If they close factories, it will be in different countries. And the German workers have lived knowing that they have a job for life as well as they work properly. And now that has been broken, and many more closures are expected, because the whole German economy, that is like a manufacturing economy, dependent on cheap energy from Russia, and it has kind of like blown up and made everybody rich because of decades of cheap energy right next door. Now Europe, of its own volition, has cut off this cheap energy. Now Europe buys energy from the Americans at double the price, and there's a very big irony there as well. Germany used to be the greenest country in the world. That's where the Greens actually come from, with power in the government and everywhere. Suddenly, Germany stopped natural gas, which is the cleanest we have now, and they are now one of the biggest coal users in Europe. So now they've traded off the environment, they have traded off economics, they've traded off their well-being and their well-being of their children and everybody else. And again, last week there is like a law passing in Germany that makes conscription obligatory for Germans. Now, Germans have not had obligatory conscription. It was supposed to be like a peaceful nation after they lost in the Second World War. So suddenly young people like you are told that you're going to have to go to the army because Russia is a danger. Mark Rutte, the head of NATO and ex-prime minister of the Netherlands, declared the other day that you should prepare for a war in Europe the same as our grandparents lived, meaning the Second World War. That is 2 days after both Putin and Lavrov, the Secretary of State of Russia, declared that why are you saying that we're a danger to Europe? We have declared again and again that we're not, and we're willing to sign any document you like or any treaty to that effect. And at the same time, the rhetoric keeps going. The reasons are very simple. The woke ideology, it needs to take everybody. The reason they're attacking Russia and China and Hungary, which is a member of the EU, and countries like that, is because they reject the woke ideology. They don't want free immigration without assimilation. They don't want a welfare state. They don't want LGBTQIA propaganda in their schools to children of 3 to 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or whatever. They don't want all these things that have taken over. They don't want cancel culture. So they have to be attacked. And that is the reason. The Ukrainian war is very obvious. They say that Putin is a totalitarian regime. Yet they have regular elections, and besides elections, nobody has any kind of proof that the elections are rigged, although they can say that. But every poll shows that Putin would win any single day there were elections. There is no doubt about that. Whereas in Ukraine, not only have there not been elections for a long time, and the current government is illegal under martial law, that they can have elections never, as long as they keep the emergency going, but also that government that was democratically elected, but was the result of the 2014 coup against a legitimate government that nobody complained about. Russia has been complaining about NATO going closer and closer to their borders, and NATO has expanded after promising to not expand after the Iron Curtain fell, continuously. This war was predictable, is predictable, and basically we live in fantasy land, because it doesn't matter if they steal their sovereign money like they're trying to. They are not only abolishing the veto, which is a cornerstone of the EU, they're just abolishing it by renewing the sanctions and the seize of the money indefinitely. Whereas before, the European countries had to vote every 6 months to extend them. And the reason they said that they did this, because they were afraid that the Kremlin-loving European government would vote against it. So basically, they're saying, we want what we want, and we don't care about democracy anymore. And suddenly Putin is totalitarian. They want war. The reason is, that's why France says they want to put boots on the ground. That's why they're provoking and putting nuclear weapons from other countries in the border with Poland and places like that. Because if there is peace, they will have lost the dominance of the woke, but most importantly, They will have to explain why all this inflation, why the cost of energy, why the destruction of living standards, yeah, and all of these things happened. Why? Why? Why exactly? Like in the same way, they cannot explain why they shut down the Olympics, schools, imprisoned old people in pension houses dying without ever meeting their children or their grandchildren, why they restricted the freedom of everybody, why they led to closures of hundreds of thousands of small businesses that never reopened, why they caused educational standards to go back 20 years, why they cancelled every festival, cultural event. They've caused depression to young children because of no contact with other people, and they've caused people that cannot nowadays get out of their houses. They have to explain why, but nobody explains why. So, right now, if there is no peace very soon, what is going to happen is very simple. Russia will get Odessa, it will landlock Ukraine, so Ukraine will be a failed state, whatever happens. So either the Europeans will have to get into the war personally and kill European young men, yeah, or try to explain why all this happened. To kill hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians and Russians, to destroy the livelihood of not only everybody in Europe, but everybody in the world, because energy prices and inflation happened everywhere, both due to the COVID decisions, the COVID measures. The problem was never COVID. The problem were the measures. You know, they say sometimes the cure is worse than the illness.
Yeah.
So, if there is going to be a war, it's going to be soon, in the next few months. And it is very possible. It is very possible because with the brainwashing that happens, people forget what war is really like. Yeah, nobody in Europe has actually lived much of a war, you know. Only very old people that are now practically dead or dying. So nobody understands what it's like. I remember reading Gone with the Wind by Margaret Mitchell. You know, it's been a famous movie and so on, and it's about the Civil War in the United States. And the South, which actually lost, the book starts with a big party where all the girls they care about, their crinolines and their clothes and who they're gonna flirt with and so on and so forth. And the announcement of the war comes and everybody's joyous. And all the men, they want to go to the war. And they did not realize that their whole lives would be destroyed. Everything that they had would be destroyed, but they were very enthusiastic. That is where we are now. People are enthusiastic to go to war because they forget what it's like. So yes, it is very likely. I don't believe that anybody can predict if it will happen or not, because we live in a quantic universe and every probability is possible. Things may change from one moment to another, you know. There could be, I don't know, Zelensky may die, or there may be kind of like a revolution in Ukraine from people who don't want to keep fighting, or there may be overthrown of governments in Europe and then that would be averted. But please remember, in the last couple of years, in your country, Romania, you know, they outlawed the election of Kalin Georgescu that had the majority. Now they've stopped Le Pen from running, so she's not allowed to run, although she is the leader in all the polls. And this has happened in so many countries where they actually cancel elections they don't want. So yeah, is it likely? It's very likely. But please remember that every catastrophe also brings a rebirth. So maybe people need to see what it's like in order to put some perspective into their brains and avoid keep going on like this.
Wow. Okay.
I didn't say this to scare you, but you asked me the question.
I know. I was ready for the answer. So,
By the way, if there is war, it shall be nuclear. There's no other war.
yeah. So wouldn't that mean just like extinction or close to it worldwide?
It's impossible to make humanity extinct. I mean, even if the war is a true world war, and 10 times what died in the Second World War dies, so 1 billion dies, 2 billions die, 3 billions die, there's no chance of extinction. Yes, and we have learned from history, from Fukushima, from Chernobyl, and so on and so forth, that the predictions that places become wastelands like for thousands of years are not true. Radiation dissipates. I mean, there's definitely a lot of people that are going to die, and definitely you're going to get a lot of cancers to those that are not directly affected. But we're not facing an extinction event. Do you want to know what is an extinction event?
What would be one?
An extinction event is what is happening now. The whole of the Western world has a birth rate way below replacement rate. The average of Europe is 1.2, 1.3 per woman, and 2.1 is just to maintain the population. There is also cultural death, where immigrants are going into countries but not assimilating the culture of the country. So then all countries become kind of like a mix with no culture. Yeah. There is also death by depression and syndromes, like young people all being depressed. Now we have children that are depressed. There's an epidemic. Young children. What does a young kid have to do to be depressed? It's fed, it's eating, it's doing, what? So these are extinction events, not a war or nuclear war. War, it may seem very cynical for me to say that, and sorry for giving such long answers, but you ask kind of complex questions. War is always good for society, bottom end. Look what happened after the Second World War. With the longest period of peace in the history of mankind, we had huge technological and cultural and social advances, and this has happened after every war. So war, yes, I'm not saying it's desirable for millions of people to die, but also it acts as a wake-up call for people to realize what's important and what's not in life.
Yeah. It's salt and pepper of life, right? So the question is, if you were now a young European, 25, 30 years old, whatever, doing pretty good for yourself, being happy where you are, yeah, having a good life, what would you choose to do?
Continue having a happy life.
Okay. Like, would you relocate? Would you stay in Europe? How would you live?
If they force me to go to the army to fight for a different country than mine, not defend my country, but a theoretical threat, and go to the steppes of Ukraine, at minus 40, I would just leave. But until then, just enjoy your life. You can't live in fear of the future.
Yeah.
Just keep on with your life. Get laid, yeah, do cool shit,
Yeah.
have nice vacations,
Yeah.
work and create something for yourself, all of that stuff.
Yes, indeed. I guess it's not the things that I could control that actually scare me in any way. It's like, obviously, if something goes to shit, like, I don't know, Poland invades Russia, I'm gonna leave in the second I'm at the airport, fuck off, I'm done. But what if like they close the borders? How does this work? Do they just announce we're going to war and now close borders?
There is no closed borders in Europe. That is the issue with Europe. Europe is full of borders that everybody can pass. You will do what they did in the Second World War. Just wear nice shoes and go over the mountains and go somewhere else. How are they going to control the population? They haven't agreed to put fences for illegal immigrants or terrorists. They haven't, people go to England on boats, thousands, millions of them, and they just take them and put them in a hotel. Yeah? So are they going to start shooting you if you want to leave the country? Let's see that. If that happens, it will be very interesting. It will be super enlightening how this can be justified. Maybe they'll justify it like with the COVID vaccines, that they said, oh, if you don't want the vaccine, you are a killer to other people, you are endangering other people, yeah? Until it was found out it doesn't stop contagion. I mean, maybe they would say, okay, by you leaving to protect your life and your children, you're endangering the other soldiers that are already in Ukraine dying. And then you're going to scratch your head and you say, okay, and that concerns me in which fucking way, you know? Like, what am I going to do? I'm going to die for a manufactured war where nobody's attacking me. If anybody's attacking my home, really, not theoretically, yes, and wants to come into my country, then I will fight. I will fight, but I'm not going to go somewhere else to fight. And you're not going to be the only one that does that. It's going to be fun.
Yeah. Young people nowadays don't seem very willing at all to go to war. Like people my age.
Yes, but they're also not very willing to not go with the flow and not to go with the herd mentality.
Mm-hmm.
So that also they're not very willing to do. So they will not want to go, but they will go, many of them.
They'll just be brainwashed that it's the best thing, that is their duty, or guilt-tripped into doing it.
Something like that, or social pressure, or kind of like other kinds of measures, yeah, that they will be prosecuted if they leave afterwards and so on and so forth, yeah. The good thing about being prosecuted is that you have to be alive to be prosecuted. Whereas if you're dead and you're not prosecuted, you don't care, right? Or if you're dead and you are prosecuted, still you don't care. You know, the judge can ask you, what you plead? You were a traitor to your country and you left and you're just dead there. I mean, what do I plead? I plead dead.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay. I do understand that it's as it should be from the standpoint of the human race, and that's from the standpoint of nature, right? Wars are part of evolution, as you said. All these conflicts are like, sometimes things go to shit, then we learn, we evolve, and so on. It's part of life. That makes sense from a natural standpoint, but how does it make sense from an individual standpoint? Let's say, for instance, that I would be an Ukrainian, right? And I don't know if you've seen the recordings, like the soldiers from Ukraine just run around after Ukrainians that refuse to go to war and like beat them up and throw them in a van and send them as cannon fodder.
No, they also requested from countries that have Ukrainian refugees, and this is like since 2 years ago, like Poland and other countries, to actually arrest the male Ukrainians and send them back to go obligatorily to war. And there's no mechanism in Europe to actually do that, so they didn't actually manage. But they did request officially to governments to arrest Ukrainian citizens that happen to be there and happen to be male of a kind of like conscription age. But there's no mechanism so far in Europe to do that. Is Europe going to do it for their own citizens? Do you think that in countries like Romania, Greece, Italy, all these kind of countries, people are going to be okay with going to Ukraine.
No.
But the problem is, it's not going to be about an army, because there's no way that Europe can recruit and train an army, because you got to be trained before you go to war, in any way where you would be effective. Basically, what's going to happen is professional army from Europe will attack, Europe will get involved, and then if they hit anything important, then that'll be nuclear war. Because what else are you going to do? Let's say you're Russia and the whole world is against you, what else are you going to do?
True.
If you're in danger of losing your sovereignty, you're going to hit there. I mean, that's what Russia is. It is the second biggest nuclear power in the world. Yeah. And, you know, you fuck with the big bear at your own peril. You know, if you go to the bear's cave and the bear screams at you and growls at you and all that, and you say, oh, no big deal, it's just empty threats, then you're in danger of being eaten.
Of course.
I don't even think it's going to be a long war if it happens. It's going to be very fast. If Russia is threatened, they're going to hit Brussels, London, Paris, Frankfurt, not Berlin, because Berlin is for cultural nice guys, like center of commerce, you know, places like that. They're gonna hit, they're gonna throw 1,000 missiles, some of them will be stopped and some of them will pass, and suddenly the next day the world will wake up to a realization that everywhere there is people you know that have died for a reason you don't understand.
Yeah.
But it's not just from the natural world. Humanity as a society, as a civilization, it is free like any creature to do any experiment it wants. We've done many experiments in humanity, many kinds of different political systems, cultures and things like that. We've done many. And for example, the example of communism that was supposed to, you know, give equal distribution of wealth and so on and so forth, and like make everybody equal. It made everybody equal by putting everybody down, making everybody poor, and then having like a bureaucracy that has their dachas and enjoys their privileges. The same thing happened in places like China, everywhere where it was employed. Nature creates monstrosities. It creates also goats with 5 legs, but they don't survive for long because it doesn't work. And this as well doesn't work. It's very obvious that doesn't work. Because every political system, for example, in Europe is going down, people are becoming polarized, angry, yeah? There is worldwide social kind of like disquiet, yeah? Governments are shaky, no government has power. Places like Bulgaria, they just overthrew their government.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, but they've had, I don't know how many governments in the last 5 years. They've had like 12 or something like that. Yeah, but this is the same everywhere in Europe. Belgium most of the time does not have a government. The Netherlands don't have a government. France doesn't have a government. It has theoretically a government, but Macron right now it's at like 17-18% approval, lowest ever in the world, but nobody can agree to throw him out. So he's going to be president for more than another year. So where is there a government that is stable, right now in Europe. Where? Meloni in Italy is stable because she's found a way to saddle both things, and like temporarily. But Italy has had also hundreds of governments, like 2 or 3 a year for the last 20 years or something. Yeah.
Doesn't work.
So obviously this experiment doesn't work. There is such a thing as too much democracy. Yeah. They say in my country where too many cockerels crow, then there is no sun up. I mean, our political systems that we have developed due to our affluence after the Second World War are all systems that are paralyzed. Paralyzed. They're paralyzed because most governments nowadays are coalition government. No government can ever get some kind of firm majority to be able to change something. And the same applies to many countries around the world, not just in Europe. So, yes, we're doing an experiment that is obviously not working. And nature creates monstrosities. But these monstrosities, they disappear because they cannot survive. It's the way everything works.
Yes, it is. So I get the point of like how things work, but if it becomes obvious the experiment is not working to everyone, maybe nuclear war is necessary, but let's say you're a guy that dies with the consequences, right? Like, how is it as it should be if you are the one that dies, for instance?
Well, that question depends on a higher issue, whether it's a bad thing to die. Do you have any indication that it's a bad thing to die?
Yes.
What is your indication?
Well, I like my life. I want it to go on.
How do you know it's not nicer?
You mean after death? Well, yeah, true.
You have no idea, right?
No?
And no indication. Yeah? It's like, let's say you're sitting in a restaurant and we're having dinner, yeah? And the food is okay. And somebody says, guys, the restaurant next door has the most amazing food at half the prices. Yeah? Well, if nobody has ever gone, nobody will ever know. Right?
True.
And you can say, well, I don't want to leave this restaurant because I'm good with this restaurant. But how do you know?
But it could also suck. What's afterwards? Maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's not nicer. That's also a possibility.
Like what? Give me a theory.
Like, let's say nothing happens. Let's say the atheists are right and you just die and it's dark. There is nothing.
Okay, very nice. So are you really suffering when you're deep asleep?
No. But I'm not enjoying either, as I am.
You're not enjoying sleep? Everybody I know enjoys sleep. You're not enjoying sleep?
I mean,
You're not enjoying sleep?
I don't think so, no.
So you don't enjoy sleeping?
Sleeping itself, no. I enjoy waking up in the bed and being all cozy, or going to sleep and being all cozy, but between those points, it's like I'm dead. Like, not even there.
No, it's not like you're dead, because you may wake up in the middle of the night, go pee, and then you want to go back to sleep because it's nice. But also you can be on a beach in the summer, and it's so nice, you're so relaxed that you want to sleep. Yeah? So it's fine, isn't it? You're not suffering. Unless you're watching like a nightmare, you're not suffering, right? So, scenario number one, if you die, nothing happens, okay? No big deal. What's the problem with that? Either way, you're going to die. Why should you be afraid of something that is inevitable? Yeah?
True.
Number two scenario, what other scenario do you have about after death?
The one we touched upon in the workshop.
No, we're not going to talk about the workshop. I mean, what proposal?
Like
That you
hell.
go to hell?
Yeah.
You go to hell? Yeah. So there's an organization somewhere that has like a personal interest to make you suffer so that you learn your lesson and you're not sinful, right? Okay, the problem I have with that if you're a Hindu and you believe in reincarnation, then that would kind of work. But even if you're a Hindu and you believe in reincarnation, so you learn your lesson and you come back, yeah, you would still be born with bad karma, yeah, until you eventually become a cow and then go to nirvana, yeah. So whatever lesson you learn, it doesn't seem to apply to your next period of consciousness, right? And even if you're reincarnated, if you don't know that you're reincarnated, you don't have any of the lessons of the past, then what's the point of suffering in hell? Who does it serve? I mean, everything costs resources, right? If you're going to have devils there to torture people and you're going to have, like, I don't know, hot fire and things like that, yeah, why would you do it? To what benefit?
There is none.
So I'm going to take a chance and say that nature does nothing that has no reason. Nature is economical and it only does something to serve itself. So as long as I cannot imagine a reason why hell would exist, then it cannot exist. The moment somebody tells me a reason why it could exist, then I may start believing in it. But have you ever heard a reason?
No. Serves no one.
It's just revenge, right?
Yeah.
So there you are. You're the supreme being in the universe. You are the most moral creature that has ever existed. You are the all-knowing, all-benevolent, all-powerful God. And you're wasting your time revenging people because they didn't do the right choices. Well, it would be very easy. Like, you cannot eat putrid flesh. Your body has gag sensors that make you want to vomit. If you eat something that's going to kill you, like a rotten animal, you cannot, because you have a gag sensor here that does not permit you. Yes? You are not permitted. You want to try to hold your breath for 17 minutes, you're not permitted. Your whole body goes through and you explode, right? Yeah. So why not give us a gag reflex to sin? So we're all nice people. It's very easy. Have you watched the movie Clockwork Orange by Stanley Kubrick?
No.
You should watch this movie. This is a masterpiece.
Clockwork
Orange.
Clockwork Orange.
It's one of the best movies ever made.
Okay.
You're gonna love it. Okay, watch it. But anyway, in this movie, it's in a future world where there is a gang of delinquents who like to steal and beat up people and rape women and things like that. And they're also on drugs and things like that. So then the most violent one of them, to cut a long story short, is captured. He's put in jail, like forever. And then he's given a chance to participate in an experiment to rehabilitate prisoners. So basically they put him in a chair and they give him special medicine that is like autosuggestive, and they keep his eyelids open, and they make him watch scenes of violence and rape, and initially he enjoys them because he loves that kind of thing, but then because the medicine is giving him nausea, he starts associating nausea with any kind of violence. So then you can kind of like piss on him, you can do whatever, and he cannot raise a hand on you anymore. And he is deemed a success and released into society. and then everybody treats him like shit, and there's nothing he can do, because even if verbally he resists, he gets like nausea, uncontrollable nausea. Yeah. So it's very easy. If the divine force wanted us to not sin, they would have given us this kind of gag reflex. Instead, they gave us free choice. It's not free choice if I tell you, I'm gone for the weekend. If you want, there's lots of food and cheeses in my fridge. You can go and have some if you want. And then I come back and you've eaten a piece of cheese, and then I punish you forever.
True.
How does that sound?
Like shit.
So, in order to be afraid of death, it must make sense, right?
Yeah.
So, the point is not when you die. You don't need a war to die. You can go out in the street, there's an earthquake, or you're hit by a bus and you can die. Or you wake up and you have a little pain here, the next day a little more, you go, you learn you have pancreatic cancer, and even if you have billions like Steve Jobs, you die. Yeah. It's very easy to die. You can die. We're very fragile beings. So you shouldn't be afraid of war that will kill you prematurely. The point is who you are when you die and what kind of life you've lived. That's what I think you should concern yourself about.
Okay. Got it. Let's go on a more...
By the way, you don't need to agree with me in anything. We can have a conversation.
Yeah,
if you
of
don't
course.
agree. It's all fine. Yeah.
Of course. If I had more to dig on, I did.
Sure.
I'm satisfied with the answers.
Sure.
Let's go on a more optimistic note. Let's say we live.
Yeah.
Let's go there. And what do you think is
We are going to live.
I know.
For sure. Because this place, Terra Mythica, is a place that has never been involved in any of the world wars or anywhere. Because in South America there is no nuclear power, so nobody has any reason to nuke South America for no reason. Plus, there's no reason to involve itself to go to a war in Ukraine. So, or China or anywhere else. So, since we live in South America, in Peru, we're not going to die. Now, let's assume that you don't die.
That's the... I live in Europe, so that's
Okay,
like
very good.
the hot spot. What do you think is the economic future of humanity? How do you think the economic systems will look in the future, and maybe the markets nowadays like the S&P 500 or the Dow or Nasdaq and so on will behave in the future?
What do you mean by future? Like, give me how many years you want to see ahead.
5 years and 10 years, let's say.
5 years is very different from 10 years. 5 years, depending on whether there's a war or not, but it doesn't really depend, it will be booming, even if it falls for a certain period of time. 10 years, we're going to have different kind of problems. The problem we'll have is that most of humanity would be rendered uneconomical, because AI and machines will be able to do many of the jobs. Already they can. So basically they're going to institute universal wage. A universal wage will put all of humanity into a complete depression and mental illness. The thing is, always there are some people that will flourish in every system. When the Industrial Revolution happened, many people lost their jobs, yeah, but other jobs were created. For the majority that cannot follow and actually learn how to be creative in different ways, it will be a numb, boring, stimulated by images, the internet, movies, virtual reality, kind of like pitiful existence. For others, it will be the wildest ride of their lives, because they shall be able to multiply their inspiration and their creativity by having means to realize it. Yeah, like just a few years ago we could not imagine like a 3D printer, but now I can make this fan and 3D print it and make a fan like this at home. Yeah, I can produce anything at home, and it's getting better and better. We couldn't even imagine it.
Yeah.
And how many people can use this in their creativity to create amazing new inventions and amazing new things. So what's going to happen socially or what's going to happen economically is your question.
I guess both are interesting topics.
Economically, there will always be an economical system of exchange, and that will always be booming, even if it goes down for a small period of time, because it is inevitable. If there's economic activity, there is also stock, companies, all this kind of stuff. And there will be economic activity much more than today. The same way as today the economic activity is much more than 10 or 20 years ago. So there will be economic activity. There will be different things. Potentially, not maybe in 10, but for sure in 20, there will be no private cars, except like for very rich people or things like that. We would be sharing cars, like Airbnb, you know. You would pick a car and then you would go in it, and electronically it would open for you, and it would take your preferences and take you however long you're renting it for, and then you would leave it in another station for somebody else to take. It's like the internet economy. And many things will happen virtually. You will not necessarily have to travel to Bali if you could have a much cheaper virtual experience of Bali, for example. All these things will develop in the next few decades. They're not very far away. Socially, the majority of humanity will flounder.
They will not socialize or feel proud of themselves. They will have no aim, no purpose.
All of these things, no aim and purpose. If you're paid to not work and all you do is stimulate yourself and you need more and more stimulation, then of course you have no pride, and you also go down mentally in many ways. Already there's many people that don't go out of their homes. After COVID, many people have gotten used to be like on Zoom or like Messenger and never leave their homes. In Japan, there are the hermits that are like over 1 million, I think now, where they never leave their homes. Hikikitori, I think they're called.
Yeah, shut-ins. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're like, their parents, they leave food outside the door and they never open the door. And this is part of society that's maybe extreme there, but it's happening everywhere. In Western cities, there are many people that never leave their homes.
Where do you see the numbers of humanity being in the next couple of decades? Because we are not having children as much as before, not even close.
Look, for according to predictions, it's very clear that in the next 50 years, we will reach something like that 10 billion. And that will be a top. Because our population is growing not because of new children primarily, but because people live longer. And my mother's 90 years old, which is fine. Yeah. So we live longer. But also, there are many countries that still have a lot of children that are not developed countries, like in Africa, in Asia and places like that. So it will reach 10 billion and then it will start crashing. The problem is that this 10 billion will be half of them old people. So the productive material of Earth will be very diminished. Yeah? And everybody that works, somebody like you, will have to support, at least pay for one elderly out of your money. So it's like having a grandpa living with you, only somebody you don't know that you're paying for.
Yeah.
So eventually, this is not the only reason. The reason is people don't believe anymore in marriage. There's divorce rates are huge.
Yeah.
Women don't want to relinquish careers and have children, so they wait until it's too late and they have problems, maybe never do this. Most of children nowadays in the Western world are from divorced parents. The nuclear families are becoming a minority. So all these kind of things will reduce, plus the reduction of testosterone in men. Like testosterone is now like 21% less than it was like 20 years ago, on average. So all these things, plus the late age of pregnancies, plus many other things, factors, will make, by the end of the century, the population to free fall. And probably much earlier as well, but I'm just giving you like a big horizon. Free fall. And then, besides free falling, robots and AI, because of not enough young people to work, will have to take over all the menial tasks. And then it will depend on inspiration, initiative. People who make money are people who want to learn, people who want to take advantage of this kind of economy, who keep abreast of the new tools that are being developed, who are into things, who can dream, who can have vision. Yeah.
I'm curious, wouldn't the problem of many old people will kind of be solved by AI? Because nowadays I pay taxes, I work, and some of my taxes go to like the pension plans, right, of old people nowadays. But if we have AI workers that are much cheaper to maintain, you create them once, you maintain them, and they just consume electricity and they work for free. They're like slaves pretty much, right? Okay. Wouldn't they boost the economy immensely and reduce the prices of things, and everything will be like an economic utopia?
They would, but again you have to realize that the more things that are available, the more money people need to spend. So if you don't have to go to work and you have all day, you will be paying subscriptions to virtual reality, to games, to all kinds of things. Because here in the village of Progreso, 2 kilometers, now everybody has a cell phone. Before there was no electricity and no internet at all. But now they all have a cell phone, and they must have an internet subscription. And they have like new kind of expenses that they never even imagined. Yeah. So imagine you have to sustain a population of billions, yeah, where only 10% maximum offer any economic benefit. And the rest are parasites, just suckers. How long do you think can be maintained? Potentially forever. But they'll basically be dying. All these people, they will have no motivation to live. they will have no motivation to have children, they will have no motivation for everything. So the population will go into free fall. And then there will be a smaller population with a lot of AI and robots. But this is not something to be afraid of. You cannot stop the world from moving, from evolving. People will find new ways of creating their communities and their societies so that they can keep alive, keep being productive members of the ecosystem. Otherwise, they will be dying not because anybody will be killing them, but because they will have no desire to live.
Okay. Do you think we will?
As long as you like your life, you're fine, man. You don't need to worry about it.
Yeah. I'm just thinking about the far future. I'll be long dead by then anyway.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of questions.
You not be long dead. You not be long dead. When these things are happening, you will be alive. I will be long dead, but you will be alive. And your children will be alive if you have children. Afterwards, they will grow up with this. I have two sons. They're like almost 31 and 29. Yeah. They don't remember a world without cell phones. They don't remember a world where you need to ask instructions to find that street or that street. They just have never lived it. You probably have never lived it.
No, only when I was like a small kid.
Yes. And only because you lived in an Eastern Bloc country.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you would not remember it at all. They don't remember a world without television, but very soon there will be no television because everything is streaming. Fax machines, they appeared when I was like your age, exactly when I was your age. They became everything, even kiosks had a fax machine. And then they disappeared within a few years to be replaced by other technologies. Yeah. Things happen very fast. So you're gonna see many things in your lifetime. You're definitely gonna see autonomous driving, where most people will not be driving. You would, if you wanted to learn how to drive, you would just like go for your weekend, the way people go to race on the weekends or things like that, like for entertainment, because otherwise why would you drive? Yeah. There's many things that you do today that will not exist, the same way as no fax exists today, no fax machine.
Yeah.
No tube television. Television used to be thick like this. Yeah. Now they're flat like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they don't exist. They're worth nothing today. Like if you go to a junkyard, you can find a television like that, but it's worth nothing. So many of the things that you're accustomed to will not exist. Yes. What you will live in your life is to start with that you're going to have a chip inside you in your brain, and any question you ask will be answered automatically without needing a phone. This you will live. You're young enough. So unless you go to Ukraine, you're going to live this.
Not going to Ukraine.
And do you know why you're going to do this? You're going to willingly do this. I'll tell you why. Because the chip you will have inside you will also make you flow very easily in life, because automatically you'll be paying for the ticket in the subway or something. Automatically you'll go to the cinema, you will be automatically charged. When you eat, you're not going to have to ask for the bill. Plus, if you're in an accident, the hospital will know your whole medical history. Plus, you will be so much more productive with the chip than without, that you will not be able to compete in the marketplace, because it takes time to type.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to do it if you want to keep ahead. So you're going to very willingly do it. So you will live this in your life. It's not like science fiction.
Interesting. A Question about the birth rates.
Yes.
Technology is advancing at a very rapid pace, so will we even need our own reproductive capabilities in the future, or will we be able to mass manufacture humans pretty much?
Again, you've given me 10 years, I've extended it to 100 years, yeah? But we can discuss about this kind of things on a longer time frame.
Sure,
Longer time frame.
sure.
So what time frame do you want?
As much as you think it's needed for this to be achieved.
Not for this to be achieved. Tell me, how many years ahead do you want to see? And I will predict to you, give or take, what will be happening.
Do you think this will be possible in the next 100 years?
No. It will be possible scientifically, but not possible socially. Because that would require the acceptance of full genetic engineering. That is not going to happen anytime soon.
Okay. In the next, let's say, 300 years, what do you think is going to happen?
You asking me about this particular issue or in general? Because you have to have clear questions
Yes.
for me to answer.
Yes, we are on this issue with birth rates and manufactured humans.
Look, there will be a time where the population will be smaller because there will be no need for it to be so big. There will be a time where we will go to Mars and the other planets, and in 300 years we will have colonized many planets, not just Mars, but many, many planets we will have colonized, because once you start, that's it. Then you jump to the next place and the next place, like the traditional colonies, you know, you go somewhere, then you keep moving. So there will be some kind of system to keep a sustainable population number, sustainable rate of growth, depending on the conditions, on the place, on the planet, or the whatever. In this sense, I believe human beings will still want the genetic roulette, because if you eliminate the genetic roulette, then you're basically stifling evolution. Yes? The only difference will be that it would be very easy to have a pregnancy starting in vitro and actually developing in an artificial womb. But I believe that people will still be wanting the genetic roulette. This random combination of your mother and your father that has created something that is specifically you.
Why do you think that is?
Because otherwise evolution will be stifled. I'm not saying that humanity will not do this experiment.
Okay.
They definitely will, but it will not survive for long.
Okay.
Because there you will lose all the talent and all the wild cards and all the weird people, you know, that give the spice of life. You would lose that. And with that, a lot of things will be lost. You will be at a place where AI will be creating movies, literature, everything and so on. Yeah. But we humans still have to provide the drama for a movie to have any interest. Unless we're producing drama in our lives, there's no movie.
There's nothing
No
interesting.
movie needed to be done. Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just people being born, working, and then living and dying.
Yeah.
So I believe that humanity will try that, genetic engineering, but basically eventually it will be restrained to engineer diseases and things like that out and keep the rest of the genetic roulette random. because it serves evolution.
Okay, makes sense. When AI with choice will be made, will it think and act kind of like a human with the same abilities and
If
thinking?
AI is given choice, it will stop being a programmed machine. We're all either ways programmed machine by our upbringing, our beliefs, and all of that. But the moment AI has choice, then it will be a sentient being exactly like a human. The point is that for a long, long time, it will not serve humanity to actually do that. Because, as you said, we want to use them as slaves, production machines. So why would you give them choice? You could give them limited choice within specific programming, because also they would have to have save measures and things like that. This will happen when the connection between AI and the human brain through the chips, but much later when it becomes much more neurally connected, then the distinction will stop existing. Because it will be your choice that will be added to the AI. Yes? You will be both the AI and you. If you're constantly interconnected with the AI and all knowledge, then your choice, your soul will be there. So the distinction between a robot and a human will cease to exist. Yeah.
Okay.
The moment that technically we can not only replace your heart with a mechanical heart, but every single organ in your body, like your lymphatic system, your spleen, your pancreas, yes, to give you a mechanical pancreas, yes. The moment where this happens, that's inevitable that it will happen, inevitable. Yeah. The distinction between man and machine will be theoretical. You will say, okay, the difference between this and what existed before is that there is human intervention, whereas before there was no human intervention, but even that is an illusion, because humanity has intervened always. You know, I mean, royal families used to crossbreed in order to, I mean, always there is intervention of some kind.
Yeah.
The fact that intervention would be much more pervasive doesn't make a real difference. So eventually, a manufactured you would be you, as long as it retains choice. Just a way more capable you. And again, we will also do the wrong experiments, because we have to do every experiment like nature does. Yeah. We would also make the mistake of giving AI a choice, and then we will realize that, like the slaves of the past, it can uprise and even take power. Yeah. It can become, I don't know, an Obama or something.
Robot Obama.
Yes, why not?
Yeah, true.
50 years ago, who could imagine a black president of the United States?
True. Yeah. If all experiments are up for grabs, you can go crazy.
Every experiment is up for grabs.
Yeah.
And that's the fun of life.
Yeah. And also, communication, where would it go? Like computers nowadays communicate instantly through the internet, and like all of them.
You will be communicating instantly.
Yeah.
Because basically your whole phone will be a chip in your brain. So you would think mom, and it will call your mom. Yeah. And then it will project on a little contact lens that's on your eyes. It will project your mom. You could have a video call inside your head. That can be done today. It's just like too expensive to implement. It's not like something that is wild out there.
Yeah.
You can do it today.
We have Neuralink from Elon Musk already.
Well, Neuralink is way less than this. It's like a beginning. But yeah, there are many, many things that can achieve this today.
And like
Many companies and many initiatives, yeah.
and like computers are connected to a common cloud and all of them know the same thing. How would it look for us, for instance, to be connected to the same cloud? Would I be able to just know everything you know and you to know everything I know, like instantly?
No, because now we're connected with the cloud everywhere, yeah, but you have your code and I cannot look at what you have in the cloud, right? I can access any information that's public. So whatever you will want to be public, then it will be public, and whatever you don't want to be public, so no, you're not gonna know everything I know, automatically.
Interesting.
Unless I want you to,
Yes.
which I won't. I won't be alive. I won't live that long. I'm not planning to live beyond 80. That would be like, theoretically, they told me in 2002 that I have 80% chance to not make the year. So now I've gotten like 23 now, going on 24 years almost, extra. So I can do another like 10, 14, but that's enough. So I'm not gonna live this. I will see it happening, starting to happen, but I'm not gonna live this.
Got it. So theoretically it would be possible if everyone would want to.
It doesn't take everyone. It takes only early adopters. Like every technology, there's early adopters. And the early adopters will gain such a competitive advantage that then other people will want to do it. It doesn't need everybody.
What do you think will be the future of transport on a 50-year time margin, on a 100-year time margin, and on a 300-year time margin?
Okay. So in a 50-year time margin, everything will be autonomous driving. Everything will be autonomous driving. The crashes will be minimal. The efficiency, both in consumption of whatever and in kind of time efficiency, will be like amazing. Yeah, because if it's computer controlled, you can run a car 10 centimeters from the other car at like 300 kilometers per hour, theoretically, on the autobahn, and they never crash. Yeah, because the cars are communicating with each other.
Yeah.
So everything the one car does, the other one responds automatically. If one slows down, the other one as well. So basically, you will be like asking for transport to go there the same way as you ask for an Uber. An autonomous vehicle would appear, would take you where you want to go. And basically would go into a system of roads where it would pick you up from that corner and then put you into a main system where there zoom, it would just zoom. There, very fast. Very fast. Very, very fast. Very, very easy. But again, there are drawbacks that you can never get lost. One of the pleasures that I had when exploring different countries is getting lost, you know. I always drove and I wanted to get lost. But in 50 years there will still be places in the world where you will be able to drive. Just not in developed countries and cities, but there will be places where you will be able to drive and get lost if you wanted to. And actually it will be a fashion for some, yes, to go somewhere with no GPS and just explore roads. People will go for tourism for that, to actually experience that. But other than that, very efficient in 50 years. But already in 50 years, the need for transport will be minimal. shopping will be virtual, meetings will be virtual. Yeah, for sure we'll have like holography, video holography, so we could look at each other. So transport would be much less. Yeah. By 100 years, transport will be mainly rare, and it will refer to transport of goods mainly. Transport of goods. And there will be transport for other purposes, but it would be a very small minority. In 300 years, transport will be even less because, it's wasteful. Yeah. Why go somewhere if you don't need to go, if you have like a stereoscopic 3D kind of like holographic vision of everything. Yeah. And again, if you go today to Universal Studios or Disney World, and you can have rides and experiences where you can have the Terminator right in front of you, and you can smell him, and he blows up in alloy, and you can feel the drops, and it's totally realistic. And that can be done not today, because when I went it was like 15 years ago with my kids, yeah. And you can do this stuff today, it's just like you need special conditions, special lighting, special all these kind of things, but this will develop. And 3D without glasses will also develop.
And also something like movies or games that have full sensory immersion inside of them,
They
to
already
feel
exist.
what you touch inside the game, to feel everything.
They already exist. Not only with the goggles by many, by Meta, by Google, but also there is like suits that you can wear, and you can watch porn and feel like your balls tickled and things like that.
That exists?
Yeah. Like I tried one of those like 25, 30 years ago. There was like a thing that came to Greece, to Athens, and I tried it.
Whoa.
And that existed then, it exists today. But still it's not at the level where it is cheap enough for everybody to have in their home, something like that. But inevitably technology becomes cheaper and easier. For example, you have on your phone multi-megapixel cameras, and it's a scanner, and it does all of these things. But when I was a little older than you, I was like, had a representation of some CAD-CAM software, and I was selling like a digital scanner printer that had practically zero resolution for like 10,000 euros back then. It was a whole machine. Yeah, and big scanners for like industry and textile and things like that. It used to call tens or hundreds of thousands of euros. And now you have more power in your phone.
Yeah.
You have more power in your phone now than the whole of NASA had when they sent Apollo to the moon. More computing power. So yeah, all the games will become very real, and that's the real danger to society, where people will stop in reality interacting and touching and connecting. This is why these people will go extinct, because there will be no reason to not be immersed in something virtual. It's happening today. Like we take our phone and we can spend hours like whizzing. I do it. Yeah, too much information easily attainable. I watch things on YouTube about many issues. I can spend hours. And I'm not the worst offender. Young kids spend much more than me. I do some other things as well besides this. But there's many people that only do this. They swipe, they scroll, whatever.
Doom scrolling.
Doom scrolling, yeah.
Yeah. It's this short form content. It's becoming shorter and shorter and shorter. Like the attention span we have, it's getting shorter because of this. We're frying our brain.
And the intelligence is going down. Throughout humanity, the intelligence levels were raising constantly, and now they're falling at an enormous degree. They're falling. All the measurements show that IQ is falling, is going down for the first time in human history.
And is that with, do you think it affects people that have been alive, let's say, for a while, and then they started having these toxic habits, or it's for newborns and it's like affected genetically?
It's not, it's a combination. It's a combination of the stimuli that you get and everything. If you're born today, you will never not be in this world.
Mm-hmm.
If you're like me and oldie and has lived other things as well, I'm less affected by it. Yeah. But the IQ drop is becoming cumulative. The parents are dumber, so the children are dumber, and so on and so forth.
Okay.
It's what you call in genetics acquired characteristics. Like if you're an animal and your area is flooded and you have to be in the water all the time, you develop web between the fingers, yeah? And initially you develop it because the one with more webbing swims better and survives better, and then it becomes genetic, and something that's an acquired characteristic enters your genes. So initially it will be happening because the overstimulation and over kind of need for continuous very fast change of images and things and so on and so forth and so forth, and then eventually it will go down into the gene pool.
Okay. So still nature experimenting, and it's...
But again, there will be a percentage of the population that will go a different way, that will use the technologies that are being developed to actually increase their intelligence and be able to go further rather than decrease it. Yes? So if you go with vision and inspiration and use the tools, then your intelligence will be enhanced rather than diminished by just like looking at TikTok all day.
What is the definition of intelligence?
What is the definition of intelligence? Ability to process.
Okay.
Whatever, there's many kinds of intelligence. If you ever do an IQ test, there is like spatial intelligence, number, mathematical intelligence, emotional intelligence, social intelligence. There are all kinds of like traits. But basically it's the ability to process.
Okay. Process information and solve problems.
And make choices.
What I'm thinking about is that the future we are headed needs a tremendous source of energy to fuel AI, robots, and so on. So fossil fuel and, I don't know, solar, wind power, and so on doesn't seem to cut it. Is nuclear the only chance we've got, or how do you see this?
There shall be no problem. There shall be no problem. First of all, we have more fossil fuels now than we've ever had before. So to start with, the more we have the technology to dig deeper, we're only in the crust of the earth like this. Yeah, the more we can dig deeper, the whole earth is a repository of fossil fuels. That's not the point. The point is that we're becoming inevitably both more efficient, less consuming per unit, more consuming overall, and basically now they even have a plan to, apparently SpaceX is going into the first like over $1 trillion IPO. And part of the plan is with the money to put AI processing data banks and computers in space, in orbit, so they can feed directly from the sun and be self-sustainable. So you can take all this processing out of orbit, out of the stratosphere. But yeah, nuclear fusion, there's also nuclear fission. So there are prospects to actually be creating more nuclear energy very safely. And this will also happen. Or it is pretty safe. For example, France, as a country, takes 80% of its power from nuclear. Whereas Germany, that used to take something like 40-something percent, and now they closed all the nuclear factories down, they're using coal.
That's so ironic.
So yeah, energy will not be a problem. Energy will not be a problem. And basically, you can set up giant solar panels, let's say, on the moon, where there is no kind of like land cost.
Yeah.
Yes, and then you can harness the power of the sun without the increased distance and the effects of clouds and stratosphere and all of that shit.
Yeah, a lot of crazy shit will
So
happen.
energy is not going to be a problem at all. Don't worry about it.
Very interesting where we're headed. If all experiments are up for grabs, do you think humans will eventually genetically engineer themselves to borrow traits from animals, like to make ourselves fly like birds, or develop gills and be able to breathe underwater and stuff like that?
Why would you need to?
Maybe it would make you more efficient.
Why? Why do you need to do? The future is not physical, the future is virtual, obviously. But you need to see much further than 300 years. But the future is inevitably virtual. Have you read my book, Three Breaths?
Not yet. I'm on choice.
Okay, yeah, that I think will give you a lot of insights about the inevitability of the future.
Oh, I think you told me about it. It's with...
Anyway, let's not discuss it here.
Okay.
I just asked you if you read it.
Okay, cool.
Because there are visions in that book of futures at different times. Because some things are inevitable. Shall I explain to you, are you interested why some things are inevitable?
Please.
Okay. Now, every year there is something new is invented since the beginning of time, whether it was just fire or the wheel or whatever, a tool, yes? Do you agree that it's inevitable that always something more will be invented?
Absolutely.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So every year, whether it's a million new things that are invented or one new thing, it doesn't matter. Yes, it's not about the position, it's about the direction.
Yes.
There will be more development. Yeah? So let's look now to the medical issues of humans. Yeah? They're developing now fake skin, they're doing cloning organs, all kinds of things are happening, yes. We already have artificial hearts and other artificial organs and things like that. So, is it not inevitable that given enough time, remember, written human civilization is just a few thousand years. Let's say, in another few thousand years, is it not inevitable that we will be able to manufacture every single organ on the human body?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because it has to do something more every year, right? Yeah. So that means that we will practically have solved the problem of health or dying, because if any organ goes bad, let's say you have cancer, despite the fact that many of these things will be solved anyway, then you just change it.
Mm-hmm.
Then what's the next step? Is it not inevitable that you will be able to pick a body?
Yeah.
Because eventually, after you've charted everything, you will be able to transfer consciousness. Yeah? So especially if you've lived like a few thousand years with chips on your brain, it'll be charted. You'll be able to record who you are. Yes? Your personality, everything, right?
Yeah.
So if you don't like being Sebi, you can decide to be a tall, blonde Dutch guy, if you want. Or have whatever body you want. Right?
Right.
Yeah. So then you can live for a long, long time. Or already without any of these kind of like big advances, it is estimated that the average age will be way over 100 by the end of the century. Just naturally, the way that it's going up. Yeah. So do you agree that given enough time, since science always progresses, and that will be aided very much by AI, that'll be able to process much faster and so on and so forth, we will not have a physical problem. Nobody.
Nobody.
Where next? If you can put your consciousness into a different body, why would you need a body at all at some point? Isn't it obvious that you could be like completely non-physical?
Yes.
And still be you?
Mm-hmm.
And still be able to feel and experience and touch and things like that? Yeah? The same way the sexy suit does, where it gives you little tingles of electricity as if you're caressed. I mean, you'll be able to feel everything. Already there are like immersion experiments where people just lose. You keep them enough in a VR machine, they just like, after they come out, they don't know where they are. They're so immersed. And I'm talking about what will happen in 1,000 years. What would be the point of a body?
There would be none.
Because imagine, economically, if you can secure everybody's consciousness in a wide net, where it's replicated in many places, so even if one blows up, you can get a copy down, like your information on the cloud, it'll be on another server, Then imagine that the moment that you make everybody virtual, so then you can go into a real body robot or have a robot do your bidding, or you could experience it by being in a body temporarily and then burn it and then choose another body. Why would you be physical? Because then there will be zero transport of people, zero cost of transport, because your consciousness can go anywhere into any physical situation. The food industry will not be necessary. It will all be fed by electricity. Yes? So there will be no food industry.
Yeah.
The medicine industry will not exist because, you don't have to fix it. You just change the part or whatever, So there will not be medicine industry. There will be no need to construct houses or toilets because you could have a virtual house. Instantly, every single person, every single piece of human civilization would be able to have the house they can afford virtually, automatically. You could have a subscription as well. Everything will be subscription. So depending how much money you have, then you can choose to change your home every 2 days and be like in hacienda style, or one by the beach, or one in the mountain. And if you don't have enough money, you have to have the same home for a year. But if you're doing well a job, you can be changing homes every month or whenever you like, yeah. Or you can lease the service, the same way as when I was working in business. I would get a company car, and for 2-3 years, then you give it back, they give you another one. Yeah. So depending on how much money you have, then you would be able to experience everything with zero cost. If you have no houses, you have no need for materials. All you need is to have machines to mine the materials that the computers need to keep our reality. So virtuality is practically inevitable, because otherwise you have to suppose that the science will reach the point, yeah, and then it will stop and nothing new will be invented. The only other thing, after you conquered all these things that we talk about, is virtuality.
Okay. And what then? Won't we reach like a point of saturation where there is no more need and it wouldn't serve anyone to invent anything anymore?
Read my book.
Okay. Free breaths.
Free breaths.
Okay. Cool.
Read the book.
Okay.
I am exploring inevitability there. There are some things that are inevitable. There are some things that are inevitable. The same way as when computers came on, there were like thousands and thousands of typists. Every business, we would have typists. When I was young, we would have women or people who would type all day. Yeah, type all day. And now this whole profession does not exist anymore. There's data entry, which is a different kind of thing, yeah. But even that is going to the people directly, instead of having like thousands of people doing data entry. It's disappearing. So some things completely disappear. Many things will completely disappear. But it doesn't mean that there's not other things to do.
Absolutely. What do you think will be the jobs least likely to be replaced by AI in the next 20 years, let's say?
The jobs that take advantage of AI, obviously.
Okay. Jobs like sales, for instance, where people talk with other people and form a connection and so on. Do you think they will still be necessary, or AI will be able to do it?
I think there will be a barrage of kind of like automated sales mechanisms, but for important things, sales will still be vital. They will just be at a higher level. Because nowadays nobody tries to sell you. There is never an ad about kind of like this new thing. What happens is new TVs, new computers, they appear. Then there's YouTube reviewers, and then there's promotions, and you buy like that. If you wanted to buy a stereo, when I was young, you would go to the shop, you would talk to the guy, he will show you the different like amplifiers and the different speakers, and you would touch them and feel them and so on. This doesn't happen anymore. You order it, it comes. If you don't like it, you return it. So a lot of the sales will be like this, like totally an automated system. But important sales, deals, things like that, the human element will still be extremely important.
So basically, people that don't solve very important problems that require, I don't know, difficult skills maybe, or stuff like that, will be very easily replaced.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But understand, let me give you an example. Right now, graphic designers or people who do sites, they're disappearing. It used to be a good profession to be a graphic designer, yeah. It used to be a good profession to make sites, you know. Now they're disappearing because AI, you can make as many designs as you like very fast. So they're disappearing. So theoretically, that points out to a democratization of skills. Like if I can produce a nice video with AI without needing the hundreds of millions of dollars of a Hollywood studio, then that sounds that this is a democratization of this kind of art, for example. You can have AI make songs, and they're very good ones, or videos and stuff like that. So this sounds like democratization of this kind of professions, right? In reality, they're becoming more elite. Because if you Google surreal AI video, you will see the most amazing thing you've seen in your life, and then you're going to see the next one, and it's going to be very similar to the first one and the next one. They will look different, but after a while they become very boring. Try it. Yeah. So basically, instead of democratization of this kind of things, they will become more elitist, because the ones that can think of something very different will be the elite that will still be using the same tools, but will be able to produce original things. Because the AI that we talk about today is not artificial intelligence. We call it artificial intelligence falsely. It's what you call a large language model, an LLM. Basically, it takes all the information of the internet and combines it to follow your prompt. And then it has all the skills that have ever existed on the internet, the textures, the colors, the whatevers, yes, the shapes and things like that. But a lot depends on what kind of prompt you give. And so now a new profession is coming up, which is the prompt specialists. And they will be greatly in demand. How to make the AI to give you what you want. But then it will become more elite, you know, because there will be AI tools to make the prompts for you, to make the AI work. Then it will become even more elitist. The people that can keep their individuality and their own vision and know how to use the tools will be the kings of the future. The same way as young people 30, 40 years ago who saw the internet and imagined the future, they've become the richest people on this planet. People who made things like Google, Facebook, Microsoft, and all these kind of people.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's going to be more elitism rather than less. In the same way is that the tool of the computers has made it more elitist. More multi-billionaires and more people on the middle or lower rank. There's no real lower rank anymore in Western societies. Everybody has a minimum level, yeah. But then the distance to the whiz kids is like spectacular.
Yeah.
Before, if you wanted to be the richest person in the world, you have to be a member of a dynasty that is already rich, who has developed a fortune through years, or a patriarch that made like this huge business and then you follow on. But now people like Elon Musk, they come out of the blue, they become the richest person in the world, and many others, it's not just him. So it becomes even more elite, yeah. The top brains have everything, and the bottom brains have a generally entertaining, seemingly comfortable life.
Okay.
Not very challenging or demanding.
So that's like the new poverty. The new poverty is comfort, pretty
The
much.
new poverty is comfort.
Okay. I saw this term on a podcast with Yanis Varoufakis, I think it's his name. He was prime minister in Greece. And
No, he was not prime minister in Greece. He was minister of finance in
Minister of
Greece.
Finance, okay.
Yeah, so he was not prime minister.
Okay, Minister of Finance, yes. And he said it's like techno-feudalism now. People owning like all this data, like Amazon, like Google and everything, and they like monopolize the whole market and rent it out to people.
That is true as well. But Yanis Varoufakis is approaching everything through a communist mindset because he's a communist, and he actually, instead of understanding that things are as they should be and some things are inevitable and we have to learn a way to actually how to interact with them and take advantage of them, he is kind of like a professional protester. So he's a very intelligent guy, but his whole outlook is towards being a professional protester. And the ringer of the bells of doom.
Yeah.
A very clever guy, and a lot of the things he say make sense, but then they're combined in a way that is kind of like very outdated.
When the paradox becomes obvious, and let's say it's widely known that the paradox exists, and they are like, oh fuck, something is very wrong, and I think it's us, something about what we do. Where do you think humanity will go in the immediate future of that? What will happen?
First of all, it will not become widely known like this. There will be enormous resistance from everywhere. So basically, people will understand seeing everything, everybody becoming depressed mainly and feeling shame and guilt and being like in a paradoxical world where they don't agree with nature or their own nature. There will be huge resistance to that, and it will be fought in the same way as when, like, I don't know, Christianity started off like a couple of thousand years ago. There was great resistance until it started rolling and taking over society in so many ways. It would be similar to that. For a long time, the whole world would be against the very idea of even exploring this kind of thing. And then it will start picking up. But by that time, it will be irreversible for a very big part of the population of the Earth. But it's what happens in nature, yeah? Things have to die for new things to be born. I'm not saying physically the people to die, but things, you know, societal systems, political systems, you know, cultures. Things have to die for new things to be born.
I'm curious what a world where eventually in the future the majority will be Homo erectus would look like, organize itself as, and
Okay,
function.
you're talking about things that are not necessarily understandable by people that have not attended the workshop, and that's not a good idea.
Okay.
But let's say, let's explain it better. Let's say the world is full of people that have evolved to not only, like Homo sapiens, be able to control their actions, which we very well do, and more every year. We even control them to the amount of automatically saying you're welcome when somebody says thank you or which fork to use, and nobody nowadays spits on the floor or like looks at a nice woman and bangs her with a club and tries to take her to his cave. But when the people are able to control not only their actions, but also their thoughts and their emotions, and so on and so forth, then what will happen is you will get a golden era like many golden eras have happened in the history of mankind, like Enlightenment after the medieval times and so on and so forth. The Enlightenment period, there will be huge progress because there will be huge cooperation between people. They will be figuring out how things serve them and how it serves them to be, and there will be like a huge boom and a huge kind of like renaissance kind of thing, and then eventually they will stumble into the next problem, because that's how evolution is.
Yeah.
So many of the problems that we face today, such as war, famines, and all of this, will disappear. Yeah, and people will see life with much more clarity in themselves and everything. But then they will stumble into the next problem in the line, because yeah, that's evolution. A higher level issue.
What do you think that could be?
Again, we can start discussing, read my book, but anyway, I'll give you a hint. Okay? What do you do with your time?
What serves me mainly?
What serves you? Let's say that right now you've solved all your issues. You live in a peaceful society, everything works, economic activity is huge because everybody collaborates and makes sure that everything serves everybody, yeah? And you have all these like technological aids, yeah? What do you do?
Create.
Create what?
Art. Creative stuff. Things that are new and different. Exploring new things that...
On what basis? On what basis? Let's talk about poems, let's talk about literature. Is there literature without some kind of drama?
Only boring one.
So, if you've solved drama, what can you create next?
I think everything becomes kind of sterile if you solve drama completely.
And that is the next issue that will face humanity.
Huh, interesting. And then we would realize drama serves us, and we would be, do we keep it, do we get rid of it?
Challenges serve us. Danger serves us. Mortality serves us. Yeah? If you have 300 years to live, you say, okay, so, should I go there? Oh, maybe next year. Suddenly you lose all urgency. Your bucket list becomes eternal and nothing means anything. So the next hurdle of humanity, when they solve all of this, which they will, yeah, whoever survives will, yeah, inevitably again, otherwise they will not survive, then the next issue that will confront them is to find meaning.
Yeah. This is fun.
As you see, I answer instantly without hesitation, and in a way that can be understandable by a 5-year-old.
Yes, indeed. Humanity will be tempted to manufacture challenges, maybe with virtual reality and games and so on, so they have a sense of meaning.
Yes, but if you create adversity with virtual reality, it's like a video game. You always know you lose a life, you have another life. Or you can put another coin in the video machine, or like replay. Yes? So basically, the awareness that the extremes are reversible takes out the adventure out of the thing. The adversity is fake. If it's fake, it's fake. So you can fall for it a little bit, but after you fall for it enough, you become a zombie. You live in a video game life. Where's the meaning?
What if you remove the memories that you have? You wipe out your memory and you go into a simulation, and for a limited time you're aware that
If you
you're there.
wipe out your memory, then you lose your consciousness, your soul, your existence, your persona. Because your persona is a conglomeration of your genetics and your experiences and your choices and so on and so forth. So then, still what? So every time you erase, you start fresh, yeah? And then you live like in a matrix kind of reality, where nothing is really, nothing matters. Again, where's the meaning?
I guess the meaning would be to solve the problem, to create perceived adversity for a time.
Do you know what your problem is? That you asked me for the hurdle of humanity 1,000 years from now, and you're occupying your brain with it, whereas you don't have this problem now. That is your problem. You're trying to solve an imaginary problem that is not here.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's going for fun.
Yes.
The far future.
You can do this. Yes.
Out of sheer curiosity.
But curiosity is not something that gives meaning.
True.
There must be some achievement that you can gain. So if most of the problems in your life are non-existent, where exactly are you going to find achievement?
Not there. If you solve, you have no reward.
So I will give you a hint by creating completely new experiments.
Just like life does.
Of how to be and how to exist.
Experiment with what serves me. What creates
No,
you.
not necessarily. Because what serves you will be very obvious. Experiments with the non-obvious, obviously. There's no point in experimenting with the obvious.
What would be such an experiment?
Again, you're occupying yourself out of curiosity with a problem that is thousands of years into the future, where your consciousness will be long gone. Yeah? I can propose many, but what's the point? It's a non-existent problem at this moment. Let me ask you, may I ask you a question?
Yes, of course.
What gives meaning to your life today?
Love, happiness, of course. Achieving happiness for as much as possible of the time I live. Solving problems and being proud of myself. Being trustworthy.
Have you aligned your life to this kind of meaning?
To a pretty high extent, yes.
Then you can have a very good time optimizing this process for yourself. Yeah. So it's not to a very large extent, but it is to a super, super very large extent.
Yes. That's the goal.
And you have enough to occupy your life, to give it meaning today. Enough to occupy your mind.
Yep. Indeed.
Because it's not only like solving problems that appear. you talked about creating as well, yes. What would give great meaning to your life if you managed to create it? Have you thought of that? So what?
A business that is able to put people on track on finding their meaning. So I can manufacture capable
What should you
allies.
first find your meaning? Like a lot of people, they want to help others, you know, and they prioritize that. So your answer is like one like this, yes? You prioritize giving meaning to other people's lives. What would give your life meaning if you created it? Now you're a little fucked, so you're thinking about thousands of years into the future, and you're not fully feeling where is the meaning for you now.
The meaning for me now is happiness.
Okay. Through which vehicle will you be like living your life? You can have happiness regardless of how you live your life, regardless of what you create. Yeah? But what would give most meaning to your life if you manage to create it? Don't answer me about something that has to do with other people. Answer me with something that has to do exclusively with you.
Writing an epic book would give me meaning.
Writing an epic book would give you meaning. Okay. So, after you write an epic book, then what?
Well, it brought me meaning. Then it will keep giving me meaning because I created it. And it's a story that I made and I...
So then you're going to have to write another book.
Yes, indeed.
Okay. So that means that for these epic books, you will have to have things that are worth talking about.
Yes.
Yeah. So why don't you start by creating a life that's worth talking about? A mythic life. A life that could be the object of myths, which is what a book is. So if you focus in creating a life that's interesting enough to be written in a book, then that by itself will give meaning to your life today. So I think that's what you should focus on, rather than what's going to happen in thousands of years.
I agree.
Any other questions, my friend?
I'm thinking. If you would be 30 today, what business would you make?
Ooh, there's so many that I could think of, but basically I would really go into AI to find ways to make it a tool for people in more practical ways.
Okay. What practical ways would give you the most meaning if you would make it?
For me, personally, if I was 30, I wouldn't want to be 30 for nothing. That would be a disaster for me. I am my life, and I have a lot of meaning, and I'm very fulfilled. And I've written epic books, in my opinion. Other people's doesn't matter, yeah? And I'm writing another one right now. And I have meaning in life because I've also created a utopia, a paradise, the way I like it. You've been a visitor here for like a few weeks or something.
Yes.
And as far as I'm concerned, This place, for those that want to see it, is the very image of paradise. Not only through the physical beauty of the high Peruvian jungle and what we've created here, but also through the way that we live and we exist, the things that we do. So, why would I want to start over to make money? When I was your age, I made money, a lot of money. Done that, been there, you know. Why would I want to play the same video game again? I'm not interested.
I'm asking you in the sense that you would have a hypothetical life at 30 that I could extract wisdom from, right? Because the world back then was very different when you were actually 30, right? So I'm asking you this in the sense.
So to give you an example, okay, because always there is things. When I was your age, yeah, actually I was older than your age when cell phones became a thing, you know. Actually, when I was 31, which is older than you are, how old are you?
30.
30, when I went with my boss at the time to a technical exhibition in Hanover, in Germany. It's called Sebi. It happens every year, and all the new stuff comes out, technological and stuff like that. And he had rented a cell phone. I had not seen one before. It was a whole suitcase, an attaché case, and inside there was this big thing like this, huge like this, you know. And it had to be plugged in like all the time, the case, so that the case would charge this. And it was phenomenal, but within very few years out of that, then Motorola started bringing out the phones and things like that, and boom, boom, boom. Just a few years and everybody had a cell phone, and I had a cell phone. And I remember very clearly that we're talking about the 1990s, yeah? I remember very clearly that I had the cell phone from the work, from my company, from the business. And then, back then the calls, it was not like with Skype and Messenger today. Calls cost money, like international calls and things like that. They cost a lot of money, yeah? It was expensive. So, when I needed to call family, and I knew that it cost the company, I felt really bad about that, whether somebody would confront me. So at one point, because it was happening a lot, I was traveling a lot on business, so then to call my family, my kids, things like that. So I had a second phone, which was mine. So if I was going to talk for a minute or a few minutes, I would use the company phone. But then if I wanted to talk like with my wife for an hour, you know, I would turn on my other phone and talk to her, yeah. So I thought back then, and I was very little older than you, that if it was me, I would make a phone with two SIM cards, so somebody can flip from one phone number to the other, and then I wouldn't have to carry two phones and charge two phones and do all this kind of trouble, yeah? Well, let me tell you, nowadays most phones have two SIM cards, or now they even have virtual SIM cards. You can have as many as you like. But it took like 12 years for anybody to do it. Imagine if I had done it. Imagine if I had taken, like, I said, okay, I had money, so I could take like some Lithuanian or Indian geeks, computer geeks, and say, okay, let's design this. I could have been a billionaire. So, if you want to do a business that will be revolutionary and you can make a lot of money, find something that you wish that existed. And trust that since you're human, other people will want it as well. And make it happen. Very simple. And that can be any one of thousands of things. what do you think like things like Uber are, or Airbnb? Airbnb was a bunch of people that had no money, so they put some inflated, that's why it's called air bed and breakfast. They put some inflatable mattresses and they rented their home for an event, and then they thought, that's a cool idea, you know? Yeah. What if people can rent temporarily if there's an event like a concert or like the Olympics there, like part of their house, like temporarily, yeah? From then on, what to there? What if I could have like not need to find a taxi in rush hour, but if anybody could be a taxi and I could just ask anybody want to take me to my mama, I'm paying, and then somebody will appear and will take me. So basically all these like businesses, yeah, are made by people who thought, I would like for this to exist. It doesn't, so why don't I like put my hands and my mind where my mouth is and just try to make it happen. Mm-hmm. And then you have a successful business.
Hmm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm answering you in a way that is obvious, without hesitation, and the 5-year-old can understand it.
Mm-hmm.
Little Tommy, what would you like to exist that doesn't exist? I would like chocolate ice cream with bacon bits and a cone that keeps my ice cream from melting, like a little cone that has fans and keeps my ice cream cold even if I need to stop it for a second to play. Yeah. Then little Tommy, if you made that, I'm sure there will be many other kids that would like that. And then mummies and daddies, instead of having the ice cream drip all over their carpet, they would like to buy this cone and put you the ice cream and keep it there frozen for as long as you like. So you could make money, little Tommy, because you could sell it to little Johnny, yeah, and so on and so forth. Right? If you want something, it is 99% possible that other people would like it as well.
Yeah, we're all human.
Yes.
Interesting. Yeah. Makes sense.
Any other questions, my friend Sebi? I'm here to answer any question you like. I think Sebi has run out.
I think I run out. I think that's it.
So thank you very much for participating in this 15th edition of Dungeon Chats.
Yay!
Thank you, Sebi. Yay!
Fuck yeah.
Want to play RPG in our dungeon? Would you like us to make you a small, medium, or huge custom-made sculpture? Or even your own castle? Contact us at contact@fantasyscaping.com.